All right. So, hello everyone. The other day I started this exercise, and here you can see my prompt, the prompt I used, and this kind of worked. Created some software. I then had to really get through with it, ask a lot of corrections. It stopped working, it started working again, and so on and so forth. So then what I thought was, okay, since this seemed to be too generic at this point, too broad, right? The usual thing with AIs is try to be very specific. And I'm a software engineer, right? I used to, I'm used to coordinate Scrum meetings, helping developers refine their tickets and so on. So I was like, okay, let's try this exercise as if I'm basically an architect defining the architecture with the AI. And so from this, which is just a few lines, I get to this. In this new prompt, I am much more detailed. What I decide to do here is lay out the complete architecture of the entirety of the software, including all the processes, how I want it to go, how I want it to be, how many blocks I want it to have, and so on. Some things are left for the AI to decide, right? I don't want it to be too specific, but still building blocks and limits. So do this, keep this. So let's see what I did. This is what I'm going to describe. Generic, I want to analyze the composition of backends used by websites. Specifically, I want to know the hosting provider of these backends and where the data centers or IPs are located in order to build a list of supply points for each input website. This is a very generic description. To do this, I want you to help me write a Python program. It will run under Ubuntu 22. It should use free and open source software only. So here I'm leaving what kind of um, libraries and pieces of software it will suggest to use. The software must be clearly organized. Modules shall exchange data only using clearly defined abstractions, which, once created, should not be subject to modification. Software shall be tested. For each piece of software written, there shall be tests. I realized that this part, as many developers also do. I left it for later, right? So in the previous example, when I gave this prompt, then at the end, after quite a while, I said, okay, let's now write tests, and it broke everything. So here I'm setting it from the beginning. And here starts the architecture. Here is a list of modules I want to create. Main module, work management module, worker module, output modules, command line monitoring module. By laying out the architecture this way, I'm hoping that um, the context will help drive the AI operation so that it will keep this basically in the context and it will not start putting all kinds of things all together, then splitting them up, then re-putting together, changing things, and so on. So then all modules can have submodules when necessary. This I feel is needed to let the AI further define the details of each module. Use dependency injection at all times so that basically we can run the tests. In fact, the next sentence is all modules must have unit tests written using PyTest. And then I started defining further how it should behave on different things. So HTTPS failures must be handled gracefully. Attempt full TLS, fallback, generate local caches, and so on and so forth. And then I start giving examples. Input shall be a text file. Files longer than 25 lines shall be truncated. Errors, example. The output shall follow the following concept. Here I'm much more detailed because I realized that in the previous example, I did not define this well enough. And so the AI went by itself, went on its own, and I had to reconcile all its decision going along. So I'm trying to collect all the learnings from the previous exercise and define it as much as possible. So here there is a lot of definitions, and I even give an example of a JSON file that should be an output. This is how I want it. And I say this same JSON output shall be then made available as the default format to other output modules like the HTML one. So I'm hoping that the AI will understand that this should basically be the way its own internal components will arrange the output and then pass it around. Use a logger library, redirect all standard error to logger library. Also, this is a point that I found I had to correct in the previous time. Disable standard out, use only the output module for command line output. And here I will make a modification until the program is finished. The in progress output is another thing that I had problems making changes because the AI kept making unwanted changes. Like I asked to fix something and something else changed. So I was very detailed and specific. When one input line is complete and once analysis is complete, so this should define the output, how it's going to look like. Now I'm going to add something that I had in the old prompt. Ask me number of questions. So let's see what happens then. Here I'm going to create a new Git repo. So cd cursor test2 git init, git init master, right, open folder, cursor test2, and let's see what happens.